Welcome to the modern elite. For the longest time, I thought attraction worked like this. You meet a woman, you impress her, you treat her well, and she slowly starts to like you. Sounds logical, right? Yeah, it's also completely wrong, because if that were true, then the nicest guys wouldn't be the ones getting ignored, and the most average-looking guys wouldn't have women thinking about them at 2 a.m. Then, here's the truth most men don't realize. Women don't become obsessed with you, they become obsessed with how you make them feel, think, and question themselves. And once you understand that, attraction stops being random. It becomes predictable. So in this video, I'm going to show you 8 dangerous psychology tricks, not to manipulate her, but to understand the triggers that make you unforgettable. And trust me, most men are accidentally doing the exact opposite. After years of watching how attraction actually works, I noticed something strange. Women don't fall for the most perfect guy. They fall for the guy who activates something in their mind they can't shut off. It's like a switch. Once it flips, she starts wondering about you, thinking about you, replaying conversations in her head, and that's what I call the obsession switch. And today, I'm going to show you the 8 triggers that flip it. Trick 1, the almost effect. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how people obsess more over what they almost had than what they actually got? That's not a coincidence, that's psychology. See, the female mind, just like any human mind, gets hooked on incomplete experiences, not the ones that are fully given, the ones that feel just out of reach. So what do most men do? They give everything too quickly: attention, time, validation, no mystery, no tension, no chase, and then they wonder why she loses interest. But the man who understands this does something different. He gives her just enough to feel something, but not enough to feel like she already has him. For example, you have a great conversation, you make her laugh, she's clearly enjoying your presence, and right when the energy peaks, you leave. Not awkwardly, not cold, just intentionally. Now what happens? Her brain doesn't close the loop, and when the brain can't close the loop, it keeps thinking about it. That's how obsession begins. Trick 2, the emotional contrast. Here's something most guys completely miss. Attraction isn't built in comfort, it's built in contrast. Think about it. If every interaction with you feels the same tone, same energy, same predictable vibe, her brain gets bored. But when emotions change, that's when things get interesting. The guy she becomes obsessed with isn't always nice, he's dynamic. One moment he's playful, next moment he's serious, then he teases her, then he pulls back slightly. It's like an emotional roller coaster. And here's the key. It's not about being fake, it's about being multidimensional. Because when emotions fluctuate, the brain releases dopamine, and dopamine is the chemical of anticipation, not happiness, anticipation. Meaning she doesn't just enjoy you, she starts craving what comes next. Trick 3, the I don't need you signal. Now let's talk about one of the most misunderstood things in attraction: neediness. And no, it's not just texting too much, it's deeper than that. Neediness is when your behavior says, I need you to like me so I feel okay about myself. And trust me, women can feel that instantly. But the man who creates obsession, he gives off a completely different signal. Without saying a word, he communicates, I like you, but I don't need you. That changes everything, because now she doesn't feel pressure, she feels curiosity. She starts asking herself, why isn't he chasing me like other guys? Why does he seem so calm? Is he talking to other women? And boom, now she's thinking about you. Not because you chased her, but because you didn't. Scarcity creates value. Detachment creates attraction. Trick 4, the controlled reaction. Let me tell you where most men fail. Not in the beginning, but in the moments that actually matter. A woman tests you, she cancels last minute, she takes longer to reply, she says something slightly challenging, and what happens? Most guys react emotionally. They get annoyed, they over-explain, they try to fix things, and in that moment, they lose something very important: mystery. Because when you react instantly, you become predictable. But the man who creates obsession, he stays calm, not passive, not weak, just unshaken. She does something unexpected. He doesn't panic, he doesn't chase, he doesn't overreact. And that's powerful, because now she's thinking, why didn't that affect him? Why is he so composed? Is he always like this? And just like that, you move from being another guy to someone she can't quite figure out. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because everything I've told you so far is just the surface. The next 4 triggers, they go deeper. We're talking about how to make her emotionally invest, why pulling away actually increases attraction, and the one psychological shift that makes you impossible to replace. And trust me, this is where most men completely lose control of the situation without even realizing it. Trick 5, the investment trap. Here's something most men completely misunderstand. Attraction doesn't grow when you invest more, it grows when she invests more. Let me explain. If you're the one always texting first, always planning, always giving attention, then you're the one getting attached, not her. But the moment she starts investing, her brain does something interesting. It begins to justify her actions. She thinks, why am I thinking about him so much? Why did I send that message? Why do I care what he thinks? And slowly she convinces herself that she likes you more. This is called psychological ownership. The more she invests, the more she feels connected. So what do most guys do wrong? They try to impress, but the smart man, he creates opportunities for her to invest. He asks questions that make her open up. He lets her reach out sometimes. He doesn't carry the entire interaction because the moment she starts giving, she starts attaching. Trick 6, the strategic distance. Now, this one is powerful and dangerous if you misuse it because distance, when used correctly, creates emotional gravity. Let's be real. If you're always available, always replying instantly, always there, you become predictable, and predictability kills tension. But when there's space, something interesting happens. She starts to feel your absence, and when someone feels your absence, they start to realize your value. Now listen carefully. This is not about ignoring her. It's about having a life that doesn't revolve around her. You're busy, you have goals, you disappear sometimes, not to play games, but because your world is full. And that creates a subtle question in her mind. What is he doing right now? Why isn't he texting me? Why do I suddenly miss him? And just like that, she starts chasing the connection. Trick 7, the unfinished moment. This is one of the most powerful psychological triggers you can use, and almost no one talks about it. The brain hates unfinished experiences. It's called the Zeigarnik effect. Anything incomplete stays in the mind longer. So how does this apply to attraction? Simple. Most guys stay too long. They text until the conversation dies. They hang out until things get boring. They exhaust the moment. But the man who creates obsession, he leaves. When things feel good, when she's laughing, when the vibe is strong, when the energy is high, and then he ends it. Not abruptly, not weirdly, just intentionally. Now, what happens? Her brain doesn't get closure. And when the brain doesn't get closure, it keeps replaying the moment. That was fun. Why did he leave like that? When will I see him again? And just like that, you stay in her mind long after you're gone. Trick 8, the identity shift. Now, this is the final level because at this point, it's no longer about attraction. It's about identity. The man she becomes obsessed with isn't just a guy she likes. He becomes a reference point, a standard, an experience she compares others to. And here's how it happens. When she's around you, she feels something different. Not just attraction, but a mix of excitement, safety, curiosity, challenge. You're not predictable, you're not boring, you're not trying to impress her, you're simply being someone she can't replace. And over time, her brain links that feeling to you. So when she meets other guys, they feel flat, normal, forgettable, but you feel like something she can't explain, and that's where obsession lives. Final shift, the truth most men ignore. Now, after hearing all this, you might think, so it's all about using these tricks, right? No, that's where most men get it wrong, because none of this works if you don't control the one thing that actually matters, yourself. Let me say that again. You can know every psychological trigger, every technique, every trick in the book, but if you're reactive, needy, emotionally unstable, it all falls apart because attraction isn't built on what you do, it's built on who you are. If you chase, you lose power. If you overreact, you lose mystery. If you depend on her attention, you lose your value. But when you become calm, grounded, unshaken, that's when everything changes. If you want to master this step by step, not just understand it, but actually apply it in real life, check the link in the description. And if you're serious about leveling up, make sure you subscribe to Level Up Bro, because here we don't chase attention, we build presence.